My name is Lyle Menendez, and I turned 26 3 weeks ago. On paper, I'm a mid-level software engineer working remote contracts for fintech startups, nothing flashy, nothing loud. I grew up in Charleston, in a family where appearances mattered more than air, where my sister Rowena shined like a diamond and I was just the packaging. She was the golden child with the lake parties and magazine smiles. I was the boy who didn't get a voice at the dinner table. For as long as I can remember, I've lived in silence, polite, obedient, and invisible. But silence doesn't mean weakness. And it definitely doesn't mean surrender. Because the night my father raised a glass and mocked me for renting while Rowena built her empire, that was the night I decided to break everything they thought they knew. They had no idea the lakehouse queen was living on my lease. The wine glasses clinked before I even reached the door. I stepped into the Menendez Lake House, a southern Gothic sprawl with wraparound porches, floodlights bouncing off manicured hedges, and a string quartet playing under chandeliered oaks. 20 people. I counted them instinctively. They didn't see me at first. They never did. Rowena wore cream silk and a smile that could slice glass. Her hair was up, makeup perfect, glass of veuve in hand. My father, Harlan, stood by the stone fireplace, already deep in bourbon. Diane, our mother, hovered near the drinks table, face tight, smile tighter. I slipped into a seat at the far end. Prime rib on the table. Roasted duck. Truffle mash. Nothing had changed. Harlan raised his glass. Another year down, he boomed. Some of us grew. Some of us are still renting shoeboxes. Laughter rolled. The air tightened. I didn't move. Rowena leaned in, faux sweet. Maybe we'll give Lyle the guest house. He's family, after all. That's when I moved. Slow. Quiet. I pulled my phone from my jacket, unlocked the app. One swipe. Then another. A digital lease. A name. A balance. I stood. Actually, I said, voice flat, clear. Rowena's lake house isn't hers. Silence. My thumb tapped the screen. I rotated the phone. On the table, the document glowed. Margaret Menendez Irrevocable Trust. Tenant, Rowena Menendez. Past due balance, $4,900. Lease initiated, January 2022. Owner, confidential trustee. No one breathed. Rowena stared, face pale. Harlan blinked like he'd been hit. Wait, what is this? She said. You live in my condo, I said. You've been living in my place for over a year. I own it. You rent. Diane's wine glass slipped an inch. Harlan's jaw tensed. Bullshit, he muttered. You don't have that kind of money. Rowena shook her head, stumbling backward. You forged this. This is some kind of sick prank. Lease was signed via DocuSign. You authenticated through Marin's trust account. The second name landed harder than the first. Marin Burke, Rowena's ex, the one with old Charleston shipping money. The one who funded the entire move. She co-signed. You forgot that? I said. Must be the rose. No one laughed. I dropped the next screen. Transaction history. Wire deposits. Rent. Marin's trust. Marin's name. Marin's initials. I told you, I said. I don't need a lake house. I watched Harlan's face go from confusion to fury. His hand clenched around the glass. The kind of rage that wasn't loud, but volcanic. You little bastard, he whispered. And that's when I knew. He already suspected. A good con always falls apart when the mark sees their reflection. Tonight, the mirrors were everywhere. Rowena's mouth opened. No words. I leaned closer, enough for her to smell the truth. You told everyone it was yours, I said coldly. But you've been living in my shadow all along. I didn't go home after the reunion. I went to the condo. Midnight. Ashley River black as oil. The building rose out of the fog like a clean line, glass, steel, concierge asleep behind a polished desk. I nodded. Rode the elevator alone. The hum felt too loud. Doors opened. Silence. I locked the door behind me. Deadbolt. Chain. Habit. Lights on. One by one. White walls. Clean lines. No photos. No history. A place designed to leave no fingerprints. Someone once said the safest life is the one that leaves the least evidence. I took that personally. I dropped my phone on the counter. My hand shook once. Then stopped. Cut. Laptop open. Secure VPN. Trust portal. Sophie Nagel's name blinked at the top of my inbox. We need to talk. Now. She didn't waste words. That's why I paid her. FaceTime connected. Sophie's office behind her, bookshelves, city lights, the calm of someone who'd buried worse secrets than mine. You lit a match tonight, she said. Do you know how many people smelled smoke? I showed Elise. You showed motive. She sent a file. I opened it. Marin Burke. Legal notice. Intent to sue. I scrolled. Fast. Then slower. Forgery. Misrepresentation. Unauthorized use of credit. Marin claimed Rowena altered documents, furniture purchases, security deposits, upgrades charged to Marin's trust after they broke up. That signature, Sophie said, tapping her screen, isn't hers. I leaned back. Exhaled. There's a special kind of fear when the truth starts multiplying. So Marin isn't just angry, I said. She's bleeding. And people who bleed, Sophie said, look for knives. Cut. Another window opened. Surveillance feed. The condo's living room. My living room. Quartz counters. Floor-to-ceiling glass. Night pressed against it like a witness. Rowena wasn't there. Chad was. Shirt off. Boots on my rug. He popped open a bottle. Cigar between his fingers. He leaned against the island like he owned the place. I watched him strike a lighter. The flame flared. His face lit up, smug, careless, unafraid. Pause it, I said. The frame froze. Smoke mid-curl. Fire suspended. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. Who installed these cameras? Sophie asked. I did. During renovations. Fully disclosed to the management company. Common areas only. Legal. She nodded. Good. Because he's not on the lease. I know. Unauthorized occupant, she said. That gives you leverage. Or trouble. Both, she said. Always both. Cut. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Still didn't answer. Someone once told me that power is just information that hasn't decided who to hurt yet. Tonight, information was pacing. Sophie leaned closer to her screen. Rowena will spin this. Victim narrative. Family pressure. She'll say you're abusing the trust. Let her. She'll drag your name into it. My name isn't on it. A beat. Sophie's eyes narrowed. Is that confidence, she asked, or denial? Cut. I pulled up the lease metadata. Digital fingerprints don't lie. IP addresses. Timestamps. Authentication tokens. There it was. Rowena's device. Marin's account. A third login. I frowned. Who's that? Sophie stared. That's not Marin. Then who? She didn't answer right away. Outside, thunder rolled. Distant. Watching. Cut. Another feed. Hallway camera. Rowena stumbled in, laughing. Chad followed, dragging a case of champagne. They kissed against my wall. She knocked over a framed abstract I didn't remember buying. People tell you who they are when they think the room belongs to them, Sophie said softly. Rowena pulled out her phone. Snapped photos. Posted. Lake life. My sanctuary. Forever. I felt my jaw tighten. She's late on rent, I said. How late? 2 months. Sophie inhaled. That's no longer a mistake. Agreed. Cut. The unknown number called again. I answered. Silence. Breathing. Then a voice, low, distorted. You should have stayed quiet. The line went dead. I stared at the phone. Then at the frozen frame of Chad and his cigar. Sophie heard it all. Her face went still. This just escalated, she said. Good, I replied. Pressure reveals structure. She steadied me. You're not wrong. But remember, every system has a failsafe. I built mine. Did you build it to survive your family? I didn't answer. Cut. I rewound the footage. Watched Chad again. The lighter. The flame. I unpaused. Smoke filled the room on screen. My room. My air. I leaned closer to the laptop and whispered, not to Sophie, not to the camera, just to the truth that was finally blinking. Time to smoke him out. The storm rolled in fast. Not dramatic. Not loud at first. Just pressure. The kind that makes glass complain and people lie worse. I watched the condo through the feed. Rooftop. Rain slicking the tiles. Chad's voice carried through the mic, too loud, too confident. Music thumped. Bottles clinked. Someone laughed like nothing could touch them. That laugh always comes before the fall. Cut. My phone buzzed. Sophie. Don't go there, she said the moment I answered. I'm not, I said. I'm watching. That's worse. She sent a location ping. I opened it. She was 10 minutes out. Cut. The feed jumped. Motion alert. Chad kicked the glass door open with his heel. Mud tracked across the white oak floors. Someone spilled red wine. It bloomed like a bruise. I tightened my jaw. People treat borrowed things like they're temporary. People treat stolen things like trophies. Cut. Sophie arrived soaked, hair pulled back, eyes sharp. She didn't sit. Harlan refinanced the family house, she said. I blinked. That's not new. He did it using your SSN. The words didn't land right away. They hovered. Then punched. That's not possible. It is, she said. And it's documented. She slid her tablet across the counter. Mortgage statements. Dates. Signatures. My name. My number. 6 years ago. I laughed once. It came out wrong. I was 20. He needed a clean profile, Sophie said. You were invisible. No debt. No flags. I stared at the screen. A memory surfaced, my father asking for my documents for insurance. Me handing them over without thinking. Silence, my old habit, cashing its check. People don't steal from strangers, Sophie said. They steal from family. I closed my eyes. Opened them. How much? 180,000, she said. Plus interest. Cut. The feed crackled. Chad grabbed a bottle. Toasted the room. To freedom, he shouted. To houses that don't ask questions. Laughter. Applause. I muted the audio. There's more, Sophie said. She always said that before things broke. She pulled out an envelope. Yellowed. Torn. My name written in a careful hand. This was forwarded to your old P.O. box, she said. It never reached you. I took it. The paper felt thin. Fragile. Like timing. Inside, one page. Handwritten. My grandmother's script. Slanted. Precise. A clause. If the trustee is found legally compromised, fraud, coercion, material misrepresentation, control of the asset reverts to the last eligible family beneficiary. My breath caught. And that would be? I asked. Sophie didn't hesitate. Rowena. The room felt smaller. The glass walls closer. Rain streaked down like it was trying to erase something. So if my father's fraud sticks, I said slowly, I lose everything. Yes. And if it comes out now? Yes. Cut. The condo feed flickered. Someone new entered the frame. Hood up. Face obscured. They handed Chad a small phone. Burner. No case. No color. Chad nodded. Pocketed it. The hooded figure leaned in. Whispered. The mic caught 3 words. He knows. Move now. The feed cut. I stood. Sophie grabbed my arm. Don't. I won't touch them, I said. I'll let gravity do it. She steadied me. You're thinking like him. No, I said. I'm thinking like someone who learned too late that rules only protect the honest. Outside, thunder cracked. Close this time. I paced. Short steps. Controlled. Every decision suddenly had weight. Legal. Financial. Blood. Someone once told me that debt is just time you owe someone else. Tonight, my family had been charging interest my whole life. I stopped. Looked at Sophie. If I evict now, I said, Rowena cries victim. Harlan hides. Marin sues. The clause triggers. Yes. If I do nothing? They get bolder. Good, I said. People reveal patterns when they think they're safe. Sophie exhaled. This is escalation. It already escalated, I said. I'm just choosing the terrain. Cut. I pulled up a draft email. Neutral language. Legal tone. Mandatory mediation. Eviction review. On-site meeting required. Recipients, Rowena. Marin. Harlan. Timestamped. Certified. Clean. Sophie watched me type. You're inviting them into the blast radius. I'm inviting them into the light. She shook her head. Light exposes everyone. I hit send. Lightning flashed. The condo lights flickered back on in the feed. Chad laughed, oblivious. The storm pressed closer. I looked at Sophie. I need them all in one place, I said. One night. One clean end. Rain hammered the windows like warnings. The condo's lights blinked. Power grid strained. Thunder rumbled low. Unsettling. Like a heartbeat in a tomb. I stood in the center of the living room. No music. No laughter. Just the air, thick and tense. The evening had a name now. It was called confrontation. My phone buzzed. A message from Marin Burke. You going to show up or hide behind your screens? I didn't reply. Cut. I walked to the control panel. Camera feeds lit up. Side door. Hallway. Rooftop. Guests would see nothing amiss, but I saw everything. People hide in shadows. Shadows don't hide back. The doorbell rang. First volley. I opened the door a crack. Rowena stood there in cream again. Like she thought royalty came dressed for insults. Behind her, Marin and Harlan under umbrellas, slick as deception. Lyle, Marin said, voice calm. Too calm. Let's get this over with, Rowena said. Inside, no smiles. Just the storm. I stepped back. Held the door open. They entered. Lightning flickered. Cut. We gathered in the living room. Leather couches. Floor-to-ceiling glass. Rain spattered against the panes, tiny explosions in the dark. I didn't sit. Rowena did. Like she owned the place. Marin stayed standing. Arms crossed. Eyes scanning. Calculating. Harlan watched me. Silence filled his mouth first, then words. You summoned us. I nodded. Yes. Mediation. I triggered the smart screen. Legal documents appeared. Eviction notices. Breach of lease. 2 months owed. Chad wasn't here yet. They looked at me like I was unhinged. I don't negotiate from weakness, I said. Short sentence. Sharp. Lightning cracked. The screen flickered. Suddenly, the lights cut. Black. Complete. Phones buzzed. Someone swore. I stayed still. Then lights flickered back. Chad stood behind them in the doorway. Not invited. Not surprising. He smirked. Rain sleeting off his jacket. Like he walked out of a fight scene. You texted for a party, he said. I brought the crowd. Behind him, silhouettes. Guests. Random faces from Rowena's social feed. People she tagged. People I didn't recognize. Hostages by proximity. I exhaled. No panic. Just calculation. Someone once said the camera doesn't lie, but people do. I walked to the nearest speaker. Offline. Then I slid an envelope across the coffee table. Rowena blinked. Opened it. Inside, bank statements. Transfers. Off logs. Credit reports. Marin leaned forward. What is this? She asked. Receipts, I said. Harlan's face changed. The mask slipped. Someone coughed. Then on screen, from the corner camera, footage. Slow. Deliberate. Harlan signing papers. My SSN. My identity. 26-year-old me. Naive. Unread. His smirk. His ease. He thought it was buried. Then the audio clicked. My boy has no place here, Harlan had said. He'll never fight back. Cut. Rowena gasped. Marin's jaw tightened. Chad stepped forward. You broke in, he said. I recorded it legally, I replied. Short. Fact. Cold. He lunged. Cut. Slow motion. Chad's hand reached for the glass coffee table. Then shattered. Crystal fists of light exploded across the room. Everyone flinched. Cut. Sophie's voice came through my earpiece. Police are 3 minutes out. Track the burner. They're inbound. I watched Chad freeze. Bulletproof glass? No. Just fear now. Harlan backed away. Rowena trembled. Marin's face told me she wasn't on my side. You've got evidence, Marin said. You think that saves you? I breathed out. Not by itself. Another burst of lightning. The recording switched screens. My grandmother's clause. The reversion document. If I became compromised. Ownership reverts. To Rowena. The room swallowed that. Silence. Then footsteps on the stairs. Heavy. Deliberate. The door rattled. Then, slow and loud, it opened. A man in a dark coat. Badge glinting. He walked in. No introduction. Just eyes. Authority. Then. Lyle Menendez? Yes, I said. He glanced at the documents on the table. Let's talk about this. Chaos buzzed under that sentence. Marin whispered to Rowena. Harlan stood rigid. Chad rubbed his hand where the glass cut him. The detective looked at me. No judgment. Just the law. And the law is patient. Lightning flickered again. And I felt it. The tension snapped forward. Like gears shifting into motion. I looked at them all. No fear. Just resolve. Because tonight, everything changes. Let them try. Rain had soaked the world outside. Inside, silence hit harder. The detective's boots clicked on marble. Sharp. Purposeful. The kind of sound that means consequences. I stood by the glass wall, storm flickering like strobe lights. Rowena's eyes were red. Marin's face was unreadable. Harlan quiet. Too quiet. The detective looked at the paperwork littered across my coffee table, lease breaches, forged docs, SSN misuse. He didn't blink. We need statements, he said. Short. Final. Rowena opened her mouth. Closed it. Then opened again. I'm being framed, she said. Weak. Thin. Marin stepped forward like she had authority. The signature was authentic. We both signed. The detective glanced at her name on the lease. Then back at the screen feeds. I'll need verification, he said. Digital timestamps. IP logs. Forensic copies. Marin hesitated. I saw it in her eyes. The slightest flinch. People always give something away. I reminded myself. Truth doesn't have to shout. It just has to survive long enough to prove itself. I pulled out my phone. Opened a secure folder. Delivered every encrypted log I had collected, timestamps, device fingerprints, multiple authentications, legal backups, chain of custody. The detective didn't smile. He just nodded. You've been thorough, he said. Cut. The room's air shifted. Lyle Menendez had chosen this battleground, and now the law was walking it with me. Harlan's gaze was a trapdoor. You set them up, he spat. This is a setup. No, I said. It's exposure. He stared down at the glass coffee table, still jagged from where Chad's hand broke it. Look at what you've done to family, he said. Family. That word felt dangerous in that room. Because families are the systems that protect secrets. And secrets are the bullets people fire in the dark. Rowena sniffed. I didn't know about the SSN thing. Father did it. He said it was temporary, like every excuse we've heard our whole lives. The detective raised an eyebrow. So your father used your brother's identity for equity? It was financial strategy, Harlan said. Tax benefits. Paperwork. Nothing wrong. The IRS considers misuse of a social security number fraud, the detective interrupted. Cut. Marin's phone buzzed on the table. She ignored it. Then it rang again. Vibration loud against glass. She looked worried. Worried people make mistakes. I watched. She reached for it. Before Marin could answer, the detective lifted his hand. "Stop," he said. "Every device in this room is subject to search. No one answers anything until we secure the scene." Heartbeats thudded. The storm outside pitched louder, as if the weather wanted to be part of this indictment. Rowena opened her purse. A flash of light. She pulled out another phone. Not hers. The detective's eyes narrowed. "That's unregistered," he said. "No name. No number. Device not logged." Marin's face went white. "Where did you get that?" the detective asked Rowena. She hesitated. That hesitation was a crack. Rowena's voice was small. "It was an old backup phone I forgot about." Cut. Security footage from the condo feed flickered on the smart screen. Someone had used that exact device, accessing streams late at night. The hallway camera. The rooftop. Interior shots. The assailant's gait was familiar. Slow. Deliberate. And unmistakably not authorized. I recognized the jacket. The coat Chad wore when he walked in uninvited. I said nothing. The detective saw first. "Match this gait pattern against registered occupants," he said to his partner. Rowena's face fell. Then Marin's. The room contracted. Accusation doesn't need volume. It needs confirmation. Moments later, the partner's voice came through an earpiece. "Confirmed. Device tied to Chad Lawton. Behavioral pattern consistent. Chad." The storm's fury seemed like a backdrop to collapse. Marin stuttered, scrubbing at her mascara. "It was his," she said. "He was protecting us." Protecting us. That phrase hovered. Thin as truth. Heavy as betrayal. The detective stepped closer. "Mr. Lawton is not a guest," he said. "He's now implicated in unauthorized access and potential obstruction." Cut. Rowena's knees buckled against the couch. Harlan's breath came fast. The detective turned to me. "Anything you want to add?" I didn't flinch. Truth tastes like cold metal in your mouth. Rational. Precise. "Yes," I said. I tapped the tablet. A secure banking timeline appeared. Transfers. Deposits. Withdrawals. All routed through Marin's account. But key moments? Footage matched timestamps. Not her handwriting. Not Rowena's. Harlan's signature. He authorized them. My breath stayed steady. "Every action has a trace," I said. "Every decision leaves an echo." The detective nodded. Flashlights from outside cut through the glass, police vehicles arriving. Sirens distant. Close. Imminent. Harlan stood rigid. Rowena clutched the couch. Marin's breath shook. I watched them unravel. Piece by piece. Then a knock. Heavy. Intentional. 2 officers entered. Handcuffs gleamed. First for Harlan. The elderly man didn't resist. Shock doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just freezes. Rowena's eyes darted to mine. Horror. Recognition. Collapse. The officer read rights. Marin's phone slipped from her hand. The screen cracked on the floor. Almost like a judgment. The flashing lights cast fractured shadows across the room. Glass shards glittered. Like truth. Like consequences. Then the detective looked at me. No judgment. Just acknowledgement. Case secured, he said. Outside, rain washed down the glass walls. I exhaled once. Long. And whispered. You've got evidence. You think that saves you? But the room was quiet now. Too quiet. Too final. And I realized, winning the battle just changed the war. Harlan in cuffs. Rowena crying, Chad shouting. Lyle stands silent, blood on his lip, watching the rain hit the glass. Now it's mine. All of it. Seattle was gray. Not moody. Just honest. No floodlights. No polished lawns. No pressure to pretend. I stepped off the plane and felt noise settle like dust. My phone buzzed. A forwarded letter from an old account I almost forgot I still had. Diane. Handwritten words. Teardrops hidden in ink. I didn't open it. I tucked it into my coat. Some letters are better left unread. Cut. My new condo was on the 34th floor. Glass walls. Morning sun fractured over Elliott Bay like shards of possibility. I watched water and remembered storms. The phone vibrated again. Blocked numbers. Blocked names. People with faces full of history I didn't want to revisit. I ignored it. Outside, seagulls argued with the wind. Inside, silence. I unpacked a single box. Just a few items. A glass paperweight. A photo of me at 8. A smirk half hidden by shadows. I set them on the mantel. Peace felt expensive. Cut. 9 months earlier, everything collapsed like cheap drywall. Harlan in cuffs. Rowena bankrupt. Marin's charges filed. Chad vanished. And me? I stood in the middle of that condo watching truth rip through a family like a blade through silk. Someone once said that freedom is the weight you shed when you stop waiting for vindication. I think that's why I'm here. No pressure. No expectations. Just me. I opened the blinds. Light poured in. Clean. Sharp. Unforgiving. I exhaled. A voice broke the quiet. On speaker. Sophie. Final documents are ready, she said. Trust transferred. Assets settled. IRS closed the case. Short beat. Did you expect applause? She asked. I closed my eyes. Only silence, I said. Cut. My phone buzzed again. But this time, the caller ID was familiar. Marin. I didn't answer. Not this time. Phone dropped face down. Glass kissed wood. The condo hummed. Waves slapped the shore far below. Presence without noise. I stood at the window and thought about storms. How they come with loud intentions, but how they leave with quiet footprints. A knock at the door. My gaze snapped. Twin flashlights. 2 officers. Not arresting. Not threatening. Just delivery. An envelope. Certified. Return receipt requested. I opened it. Not from Diane. From my grandmother's estate attorney. A final note. No threats. No demands. Just truth. Your grandmother believed identity was a legacy, it read. Freedom is proof that you never belonged to debt. I paused. Then laughed. Low. Hard. Because truth isn't flashy. It's relentless. Cut. Another message. This one from an unknown number. One short line. To a future we can't escape. It didn't say who. But I recognized it. Not philosophy. Not weak hope. It was a warning. A memory. A reminder that no one truly escapes their past. Only survives it. I stared out at the water again. Elliott Bay gray-blue, restless. Just like me. Just quieter. Just honest. I closed my eyes. And listened. to nothing but the air moving around me. Tension eased. Not gone. Just contained. I walked to the terrace. Stepped out into the cold morning air. Wind flayed my coat. Waves slapped the seawall. I felt alive. Clear. Unfettered. No family. No debts. No hidden trust clauses. No dinners where laughter sliced deeper than knives. No echoes in empty rooms. Just me. And the city breathing beneath my feet. I thought about saying something profound in this moment, something poetic. But truth is simple. You lose people who refuse to see you. You lose pieces of yourself trying to please them. And the hardest freedom? Is learning that silence isn't weakness. It's clarity. Final cut. I turned away from the window. Electricity hummed back to life. Phone still silent. Not lonely. Just deliberate. The sky above Seattle was clear. A single gull arced across it. Unbound. And I knew this at the core. I was no longer running. Not from the past. Not toward anything. Just here. Present. Whole. And no one could ever take that from me again.